Hello, I'm Barry Silverberg, Director of the Center for Nonprofit Studies at Austin Community College, and this is Civil Society, a periodic podcast to provoke more thinking about issues affecting nonprofit effectiveness and success. My guest today is David Smith, CEO of the United Way for Greater Austin. For over 20 years, David has been in the forefront of reaching out to diverse parts of the community to collaboratively find solutions that create real impact. That commitment is evident in David's 11-year role as founder and executive director of Hill Country Ride for AIDS. Concurrently, he founded and led Mama Jamma Ride for breast cancer for 4 years. The Hill Country Ride grew to be the second largest ride for AIDS in the country. Not to be outdone by himself, he grew Mama Jamma to be the largest ride for breast cancer in this country. He gave all of that up for the slings and arrows of leading the United Way. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Barry.
So my first question is, you've led several successful organizations, as just noted. Why did you leave that for what is certainly a very complex and sometimes difficult job?
Yeah, great question. Well, I got to the point with both of those rides where I felt like I'd done what I could do and really believed they needed new energy and new ideas and new blood. And I think that was right. The two people running both of those rides now are doing a fantastic job. And so it's fun to see those go on and be a success. But more than anything, why United Way? I really believe in the collective impact model. And I truly believe that we can do more together. And so while my path is a little unorthodox, everything I did leading up to United Way was collaborative. And so in the interview, in my first interview with United Way, I said, if you're interested in someone to come in and redo the United Way brand, I'm not your person, because I'm not a United Way guy. But if you want someone who is willing to work hard and bring people together and the community together around these really important issues, I'm all in. And I thought I was talking myself out of the job, but maybe nobody else applied.
It remains to see who the joke is really on. Go ahead.
Right. Exactly. But I really do believe, and you know, we've got more nonprofits per capita than any other city in the country. And so we need an organization to pull the community together, to pull those services together, to find and discover and create ways that we can be more efficient, ways that we can collaborate in meaningful ways where services are delivered in a more efficient and better way. So I am a United Way guy now because I believe in the model.
All right.
Yeah.
So your focus has been on diversity and inclusion throughout your career. How are you bringing that to the United Way at the current time?
Yeah, great question. I'd say it's almost built into who we are. So just our United Way certainly, and I think many United Ways across the country have evolved over the years as philanthropy has evolved and the emergence of the internet, and there's so many things. But really what is foundational is that our mission is to bring people, ideas, and resources together to fight poverty in our community. But there are few organizations our whole existence is to bring people together who otherwise may not come together. Right. So we're bringing together civic and government organizations, corporations, and so the corporate community, nonprofits, individuals, foundations, to come together and meet each other and talk about what are our common goals and aspirations and how can we make those happen together. And so, you know, I think that we're putting people in the same room many, many times who otherwise wouldn't be in the same room together trying to find solutions to really big problems.
So in many ways, you're just check it out as you're serving a role as a convener.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
I recall many, many years ago, United Way posited itself as the major planner for the community.
Right.
Is that a role that you see United Way continuing?
I do, definitely, yeah. So there's a good example that is older, so 10 years old, and that is Success by Six, so early childhood education work. Sue Carpenter, who is our Chief Programs Officer.
A super lady.
What's that?
Super lady.
Oh, fantastic woman. Just, I could not be more honored to work with her every day, and I learn something from her every day. She's brilliant. She really galvanized the community around early childhood because she saw that, you know, for social service intervention, it probably has the best ROI, the best return on investment. And she also saw that while we invest in so many significant and important things, there's nothing that we can invest in that's more valuable than our kids, and especially in those most formative years. 90% of our brain is forming in those first 5 years. And so that's a great example of Sue and her team convening 10 years ago, but continuing to convene and still going on, the community around that. And more recently, we're convening around 2Gen. So the Aspen Institute asked United Way, knowing that we were really the backbone organization that could handle this, to convene the community around our 2Gen approach, which is wrapping services around the whole family, so 2 generation. So while we're making sure those kids get quality early childhood education, at the same time we're working with the parents or parent to make sure that they have the education and skills and training they need to have a job and to have financial stability, so that these kids don't get quality care and education and go home to a house where they have to move for the 3rd time in 6 months, or where the utilities have been shut off. And so by working with both generations, it really breaks the cycle of poverty. And that's a newer area where we're convening that's really exciting, and we're putting a lot of focus on that.
And United Way does this through its partner agencies.
That's exactly right.
So just really quickly, how many do you have? What's your campaign?
Yeah.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you say partner agencies, because I would think of both our nonprofit partners, and I would also think of our corporate partners. So we've got, and that's again, I think, an area where we're convening. So gosh, we've probably got about 50 nonprofit partners where we're investing, and then we've got over 200 corporate partners that have campaigns or are involved in some way. Yeah, it's exciting.
So your primary focus, which as you said has evolved over the years, is on poverty.
That's right.
What happens to other issues?
Yeah, good question. Well, we, as I just mentioned, Austin has more than its share of nonprofit organizations. So, you know, for the causes that aren't centered on poverty. So, pets. I'll just throw that out. I love dogs. I'm a big pet person, but we're not in that business at United Way. And I think that was part of when I started. BCG led us through a fantastic strategic planning process. Could not be more grateful for that. The process was significant and beyond our expectations. The product from that strategic plan is the same. It's our map to achieve where we know we want to be. And we had to say, okay, this is who we are, which means we had to let go of some things. And so that's part of the shift I think you see really nationally, but especially here in Austin, where United Way is not just an intermediary where we are a benevolent funder where people say, but we are actually strategically investing in strategies that work. And that's how I would define who we are as United Way. We are investing donor dollars. We take everyone very seriously in strategies that we know that work. And our focus is poverty. And there are a lot of reasons for that I'm sure I'll get to with you.
So in terms of poverty, there's multiple philosophies and approaches to dealing with poverty. We had the war on poverty, which was an abysmal failure. What is the overall model of change that the United Way is bringing or encouraging to deal with poverty in Austin?
That is a really good question.
And I only ask good questions.
So far, I think you're batting 100. I'll let you know if there's a...
Thank you.
I'll tell you, really honestly, I can't formulate, because we're getting there, but I can tell you where we are right now, and it will evolve, and it will be more comprehensive. But where we are right now is the belief that we want to meet immediate and urgent needs for basic needs, and that's through our 211. So that's one of our pillars. So 211, you literally pick up your phone, dial 211 if you don't know where you're going to sleep tonight, if you don't have enough food to feed your family, if you can't pay your utility bill, any of the hundreds of things people living in poverty deal with daily. So they can pick up the phone, call 211. We will immediately connect them with a service that can meet their need. That's incredibly valuable for someone who needs, and I would ask and invite anyone who wants to come listen in on 211 calls to please do it. It's life-changing because you're hearing directly from that person who has an immediate and urgent need.
Yeah.
And it's, to hear that live voice, that's the most important call they'll make, at least that day, maybe in their life. And so what's just as important, though, is the data we collect at 211. We see the emerging needs happening in real time. So before housing was an issue here, we were getting calls on housing years before, and we were informing our elected officials housing is a growing and emerging need among our population. So that's one. That's really meeting immediate basic needs. And then we're investing in 2Gen. So back to that, and that is just, again, wrapping the whole family in services to make sure that they're covered. And then we're investing in long-term solutions, which we see as early childhood, so Success by 6. So how we are going and approaching the poverty issue right now is through those 3 pillars. One, immediate need. One is, I would say, mid-term, like it's shorter, but meeting the needs of the whole family. And then that long-term investment in early childhood, where we may not reap the rewards for another generation,
right.
But if we don't do it, we will certainly suffer those consequences.
Right.
And I think we're seeing some of that now.
Sounds to me like you have a plan.
It's a plan. It's a plan, but we want to do more because there's such a need, and we will do more. But that's where we are right now.
Let me turn to another topic where
Sure.
United Way perhaps is, but certainly could be a leader, and that is in the whole question of diversity and inclusion in the nonprofit sector itself.
Mm-hmm.
We've chatted about that
We have.
separately.
Yeah.
And just the number of people of color who are on boards of directors, or even as executive directors
Right.
in Austin and nationally is quite low and almost scandalous.
Right.
So what role, if any, do you see the United Way can play in promoting that, particularly given that you're supporting agencies, along with the funds comes a bit of influence?
It does, yeah. And so I would say we leverage that influence. It's not with a hammer, but certainly leverage that influence to make sure that all those organizations, every single one where we invest, has a diversity and inclusion policy, and we make sure that that covers the board as well. I think another aspect of that is we need to model that ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so our board has diversity, and certainly our staff has diversity. I would still say not to the level at which we would want, and I think that's important. And so while we're not going to mandate a certain percentage or anything like
Right.
that, we do, though, offer them access to board trainings done by other organizations. So again, we're part of a network
Right.
of so many organizations in town who are
Right.
doing great work. And so leveraging that to make sure that those organizations do. And I also think just elevating that conversation, not ever missing an opportunity for that conversation to be part of the dialogue that we need to be having, again, at the corporate level and at the nonprofit level, at the civic level, and everywhere in between.
And I think that's a major role that, given the projection as a convener, that
Yeah.
y'all can really.
I do too. We're about to participate in this Beyond Diversity, which
Good.
I have personally, but
Good.
some of us from United Way are. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
So along similar lines, regardless of where one stands politically, I think it would be as true as any truth could be that we're living in a divided society.
Yes.
We're living in a society where civility is on the decline. Is there a role for the United Way, given its convening role, to deal with some of the fundamental issues of civil society?
Yes, absolutely. I see that, it almost again goes back to our name. I see that as us being that bridge. So as I started here 2 years ago, and I started talking about poverty with people, I can't tell you how many people would kind of tilt their head and say, there's poverty in Austin? And I think the underlying and common foundation that really is under all of our work and upholding all of our work is that we are, if not one of the most economically segregated cities in the entire country. And the tragedy of that is multi-layered, but certainly one of them is we stay in our bubbles and we stay in our neighborhoods, And so we don't know that there is poverty. There's drastic poverty in Austin, not that far from where we're all living. And so
not far from your offices.
That's right, very close to our offices. And so I do see that as a major role and opportunity for United Way to lead that conversation and to lead the community's openness and willingness to see who we really are as a city. We're on the top of every list, every national list, best place to live, best place to start a business, best place to be married, best place to be single, you name it, we're on every list. And yet there is that underbelly where not everyone is part of that and wouldn't even recognize the city at the top of that list.
That's right.
And we're only as good as if everybody is enjoying that promise of Austin.
Totally
so
agree.
That's where I think we come in and have a real opportunity to lead.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Let's shift to a different question.
Okay.
So, the nature of philanthropy is changing.
Yes.
When you and I were younger, the United Way was the way that most people gave,
right.
both for individuals and companies.
Right.
That's changed with foundations, personal foundations, the millennials, etc.
Mm-hmm.
How is United Way adapting to those changes
Right.
while still being true to the federated giving model?
Yeah, great. So I would say, and certainly I'm standing on the shoulders of many people who came before me, and so I know that, and I know that every day, but I can only talk about my experience, and that is to focus on the need in the community rather than focus on who are we as United Way, meaning we need to be responsive and engaged in the community. If we're doing that, who we are as United Way, and that response will be just fine. So, so definitely the campaigns are still a majority of our revenue. And you know, it's interesting. I got a really great team. Ray Blue and his team are leading the RD team, and they are killing it. And actually, campaigns are growing. After a 13-year slide, this will be the first year that we've seen an uptick in campaigns.
Congratulations.
And that's exciting. Yeah, that's something to celebrate. At the same time, we know we have to diversify, and we are diversifying. So we have events like Ruthless Good, where it's a citywide scavenger hunt, where while you're having fun with your team that you put together, whether it's a corporation, a family, your congregation, whatever it is, you are also learning about the need in Austin and about some of what we were just talking about with the economic segregation. It's a lot of fun. But, and then, you know, the individuals, foundations, the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation have been incredibly generous in investing in our 2Gen work. Mm-hmm. So we have to continue to diversify. I think maybe the most significant way we will diversify and move beyond just the campaign work is we're going to focus a lot more on volunteerism. And that is in direct response to this news that we're the most economically segregated city, is if we don't know each other, then we don't even know how to respond to the need.
Excellent.
And by connecting people who otherwise may never be connected with meaningful volunteer opportunities where they are encountering and introducing themselves and meeting people in need, that we believe is going to change not just United Way, but change Austin.
In some ways, that's a return to the roots in terms of the volunteer centers
Absolutely.
Of the United Way.
Yeah.
So as a closing question, if you'll stroke your wizened whatever.
Barely their beard.
That's right. What would you say to somebody entering the nonprofit arena?
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
What is the top lesson that you've learned?
Wow. Another good question. I think you batted 100. There's so many. Can I give you two?
Yeah, you can give me two.
Okay, I'll give you two.
I'm feeling generous.
Okay, thank you. I would say if you're starting out, always be true to your word. It will gain you a trust and a respect among your colleagues that will last through. You're going to run into tough times. You're going to run into tough situations. Almost nothing is black and white. You're going to come across tough situations. If you are true to your word and people trust and believe you, that will carry you through all of those. And then I would say, don't be afraid to ask questions. I was so worried starting out that if I asked the question that I was wondering at the table, that people might think I didn't know what I was doing, which of course I probably didn't, and in many ways still don't.
But neither did they. So.
Neither did they. And I wish we'd just, don't be afraid to ask questions. You're probably not the only one wondering.
Super. So Since you did so well, one last question.
Okay.
Okay. So, which is an obvious one. So I'm a viewer. I'm a member of the Austin community.
Yeah.
You mentioned that I could make contact in that way to kind of listen on the 211 calls.
Yes.
Which I would think would be a phenomenal experience.
Oh, please, yeah.
What else besides giving money might I do to affiliate myself with the United Way?
Yeah, please call us and let us know if you want to volunteer somewhere so we can connect you with meaningful volunteer opportunities. Call us and you can volunteer at United Way. You can belong to any of our affinity groups, Women United, the Young Leaders Society, and that involves some giving, but you can also be involved in other ways. And you know, we are a backbone organization in town, and so I would say anywhere you get involved that's involved in fighting poverty, we will be involved in some way. So just get engaged. We'd love it if it's through United Way, of course, but just get engaged. And I think you'll find, one, how many challenges our city has, but two, we really do live in such a great city, and we can only make it greater. So.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Barry.
You're doing super, and it sounds like you're going to continue doing super.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thank you.
Visit our website, nonprofitaustin.org/civil society, to read more about the United Way and the issues we've discussed today, and share your comments on today's podcast. This is Barry Silverberg with Civil Society, a Center for Nonprofit Studies podcast, in collaboration with the fantastic folks here at ACCTV. Thank you for joining us today.